evaluation, and Susan Whipple will talk about this specifically to you, so you know why, what is it, when to use it, and why you need this. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Marta, and buenos tardes. So many times when students are filing their applications, they come across this requirement of a credential evaluation, and they think, what is this? Why is this being required of me? Why is this becoming such more of a complicated process? But hopefully, my time with you today will help you to better understand why a university would require a credential evaluation, or perhaps why you might want to seek one out so that you can present the best application possible. So when we refer to a credential evaluation, it is a professional credential evaluation. It is a method of comparing different education systems, different degrees that are available, and then determining those equivalencies. Almost every country in the world has different academic degrees or certificates or licenses that can be obtained. And when we start comparing education systems, it's very rare that we find that all systems of education match up exactly. And so a professional credential evaluation can help to provide an objective evaluation or comparison of what are the equivalents between different academic disciplines, but also between different systems and countries. It can be used for admission or for employment, and it should be conducted by somebody who is a knowledgeable professional. But it's also important to remember that the evaluation is not a recommendation for admission. It really is an unbiased review of that academic system in the context of the US academic system. So we could move on to our next slide. So why would a university require you, or when might it be a good opportunity to have one? So a lot of universities, particularly in the United States, are very concerned with making sure that the application process for all applicants is unbiased and that it's not preferential to one group of students, perhaps based on their education system or even where they have previously studied. And so that's why universities many times will ask for there to be an independent credential evaluation. And again, the evaluation could be asked for by a university, or you might see that it is department specific. And we'll get into a little bit why certain departments might ask for it instead of just the university. So one of the best reasons for a credential evaluation is that it provides a consistency of GPA calculations for all applicants. Many times, one of the most frequent questions I hear from students is concern as to how will I be evaluated? What if people don't know my academic system? What if people don't know the strength of my university program and perhaps accreditation that my university program has versus other universities? And so that is where that independent evaluation can come in, because it is going to provide that background information, again, unbiased, because they are looking at the information that is presented from a university. They're not saying this person will be a good fit for your program. They're really looking at what have you achieved academically. So again, by having this review conducted by somebody who is independent and not associated with the university, you will hopefully have bias prevented. Many times, and you probably have heard examples where perhaps somebody is not familiar with a university And so automatically they assume that it must not be a good university because nobody knows about it. Conversely, people might assume that one university is better than another because of perceptions. And so, by having that independent evaluation, it is a way of what we call leveling the playing field, or making sure that everyone is looked at equally, as opposed to having certain students perhaps given preference because of a perception by faculty or by members of the admissions committee. And so that is why most universities point to wanting to use that. Sometimes, and especially for programs with prerequisite requirements, they will ask for that course by course evaluation to figure out, do you indeed have those prerequisites? It will hopefully also speed up the time that an evaluation is done. I know from having done evaluations for students who are applying for bachelor degree studies that sometimes an evaluation can take me many days because there's specific information that I need to look up, or perhaps I need to contact a university for additional information that a credential evaluator would already have knowledge about. And so that's one of the reasons that universities choose to have it done professionally, is because that is the only task that that person is performing. The other thing that's also a positive of having that done is that when you have your documents evaluated by one credential evaluator, you only have to send originals one time. So in the previous slide, we were talking about what are the costs to have academic records sent. It's not just the cost of requesting those and paying for that translation and then having it sent by courier. A credential evaluation might allow you the opportunity to send that evaluation to multiple universities, and you've only had to pay for one official transcript, one courier process, and only one translation, assuming that the company where you're going to have your evaluation conducted can't provide those translations. So don't think of it necessarily as a burden, because it does allow some opportunities that maybe aren't always there when a university does those evaluations in-house. So we could move on to the next slide, I think. So again, when are evaluations required or recommended? Many times universities lack the staff to verify the authenticity or to complete those in-house evaluations. We probably know stereotypes of the poor admissions counselor with thousands of applications to read in 10 hours. There is the desire to have decisions made quickly, but it also needs to be balanced with the need to make sure that appropriate and, more important, unbiased reviews and decisions are conducted. There may be a very large number of applicants, or a university or a program are receiving a lot of applications from very diverse academic systems. They may lack the professional staff to be able to conduct those, either because they're not aware of all the different academic systems, or because they just don't have the staff available to do that. Again, there's a desire for a consistency in calculations for all applicants. And again, many times there are prerequisites or specific preparation that is required for admission. It can also be more efficient. The other time when it's really helpful or could be required is when an applicant's previous course of study is in a very different or parallel field. Remember that in the US, we are very flexible in who we allow to apply to graduate programs and who can be admitted to a program. Students can often change their field of focus. And so perhaps a student who studied engineering is now looking at a degree in computer science. And so there's a real desire to understand what was that student's program, because the faculty who are making decisions may not be familiar with that bachelor degree area. The other thing that we could think about is in this area, you've got, an applicant who perhaps has been working for 5, 10, or 15 years, and there have been a lot of changes in that field. And so the faculty want to know, what from the previous studies are still going to be relevant to what a student wants to study in their program, or are they completely unfamiliar with the degree program that was previously studied and really want to know more? Another example might be, particularly in Mexico, a student may have a carta de pasante, or one of the various licencias, and that's something that perhaps people in the U.S. are not as familiar with. There are a lot of títulos that somebody could earn. And so faculty in the program that you're applying to really want to understand the program that was previously studied and how does it lend itself to the current program that's being applied for. And quite often programs in medicine will require this, just because there is such different options and availability in other countries when compared to what the US offers. And I think we can move on to our next slide as well. So, when would it be good to, if you are thinking, okay, I'm definitely going to have an evaluation, some things that you would want to think about. You want to make sure that you are engaging an organization that has both a very good reputation and are also very reliable. It is recommended that your evaluation service that you use be a member of NACES or AICE. These are very strong professional associations within the field who are known for conducting evaluations that are not only thorough and competent, but are also conducted in a way that is ethical. So you also may be wondering, well, what kind of evaluations will I need? And so you want to make sure what kind of university evaluation is being requested. There could be simple verification that you earned a degree. There could also be a GPA calculation. And yet, more important, there's a course by course evaluation. That's where the evaluator looks at every course that you have studied in your previous studies, and they match them up with courses at the university where you're applying to see, have you reached the requirements that might be there, again, in the case of prerequisites, or if the program perhaps gives preference to students to that university, meaning that somebody who studied a bachelor can move more easily into a master's, or somebody who earned a master's moves more easily into the doctorate at the university where you're applying, the course by course evaluation can help compare you to students from that same university. Another thing to think about, how are the documents received by the evaluation organization? Do they offer you an opportunity to submit documents electronically? Then they will verify them for you. Will they provide translations for you? What is the processing timeline? So there are a lot of things to think about when you are considering doing this. And of course, there is a very helpful website here that provides good resources. But another thing to keep in mind is, how responsive are they to you? Are they providing you with information that helps you decide which is the best evaluation? Some universities will tell you, have your evaluation conducted by this company. Others will tell you that they accept it from a range of organizations. Sometimes you'll see that an organization will accept it only from NACES evaluation members. And so then you know that you could use that group, that list of NACES members to conduct your evaluation. But as we move on to our next slide, it's important to keep in mind that you don't always need an evaluation. and you don't want to engage in evaluation if it's not needed. Now, many times, if you have completed your studies in the US, there's really going to be no need for that. I many times will see students spend lots of money to have an evaluation conducted, only to have to then tell that student that the evaluation really didn't tell anything new because that student had previously studied in the United States. And those questions of comparison really aren't present because it is within the US system. Another reason not to pay for it is because the university or the program themselves will conduct their own evaluation and will ignore completely anything that is conducted by another organization. So you have wasted time and money, and probably also a lot of sweat and worry over what is the timing and what will it say. Another reason not to use an evaluation service is when the degree program that you're applying to participates in an application service. So if any of you are thinking that you might be applying for programs in dentistry, law, meaning the JD or Juris Doctorate, in occupational therapy or physical therapy program, many times these programs have what's called a pooled application process where you are applying through a clearinghouse, and that clearinghouse will conduct those evaluations for every applicant that passes through that service. So, probably my best advice to you is read the instructions for the programs that you're applying to. But more important, if you're not seeing the answers to your questions, contact the admissions office. Or in this virtual world that we're now all living in, you have the opportunity to attend presentations by that program or that admissions office. And that's always a great question to ask if it is not something that is brought up as part of the application process. You will sound very informed if you ask about the need for credential evaluations in interviews or when attending sessions. And I think we can move on to our next slide.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, I will just show this very fast. This is the way that we will help you in Education USA about the budget for the expenses and the costs and expenses that you will need to keep in mind when you are accepted, then when you are going to pay for the study program and living in the US. So these are the most important factors you will need to take into account. And due to time, this is also something that I will just briefly show. Is also that something that we will provide to you as Education USA advisor, a calendar. Remember that also this may change according to you and your specific way of working through the process, but this is the suggested calendar. If you want to take a screenshot, or remember that we will send the video recorded session to you all. So you will find this calendar over there, or when you come to us as an advising to the advising center as an advisor to you, and you will have this information as well. Here, Susan will talk about Marquette University.
Thank you. Marquette University is not always a name that is very well known. Some people know Marquette as our relationship to basketball, but we are located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Strangely enough, Milwaukee is many times referred to as the Mexico City of the Midwest because there is a very large Mexican population here in the city of Milwaukee. There's even a consulate here. But Probably one of the most important things to know is that Marquette is a medium-sized university, and our focus is on teaching as well as research as a university. So we do offer over 70 graduate and professional programs, so students can earn a master's, a doctorate, and we also have special certificate programs as well. Many of those programs are very highly ranked. They are all accredited programs. We do offer assistantships, fellowships, and scholarships. And there is a very strong culture here of collaboration and respect between faculty and students. We have multiple centers for research on campus, and we also have a lot of ties with local industry and with other universities within the city of Milwaukee. Within the area where we are located, there are about, I think, around 20 universities and research areas, so a lot of opportunities, and quite a number of Fortune 500 companies are located here as well. And as I work with students here, helping to authorize them for their research or their work experiences, I'm noticing a lot of names of companies that are old, familiar names of companies, as well as some very new and innovative companies that are startups or are recent additions to the Milwaukee region. It's very important for us at Marquette to offer student support. We are a Jesuit university, and so the idea of care for the whole person or the whole student is very much at the heart of what we do. So we offer an international teaching assistant program, also a program called Preparing Future Faculty. So that is a program that helps students who are thinking that they may want to continue a career in an academic area. There's a graduate student organization that is very active on campus, and our career services offices are located within a lot of different academic centers on campus to help students prepare for what comes after their studies right from their very first semester. So that would include resume review, helping students develop a CV, cover letters. They'll also coach students on presentations, interviews that are in person, as well as video interviews. They also help students with salary negotiation, which is often something that students say they really don't feel prepared for. 69% of our graduate students are full-time students, whereas 31% are part-time. And so that means that in the classroom and in the laboratory, you are with a nice variety of students who come from a lot of different disciplines and also have a lot of different viewpoints that they bring to the classroom. And our students in graduate programs are representative of 47 US states, as well as 32 countries. And we are located in the heart of the city of Milwaukee, minutes from downtown. So we really are on a beautiful grassy campus, but in the heart of the city. So just amazing access to everything that's available. And if you want to check out a little bit more about Marquette, I invite you to connect with Marquette. Our first link there is for graduate programs. The second there is specific to, if you have questions, you can write to the Marquette University Graduate School. And then there's also contact information that is specific if you have questions about things as well. And I do have to compliment my graduate colleagues. They even include an FAQ for international students on their website, which is often very helpful for students.
Thank you very much, Susan, for all this valuable information about credential evaluation. We get a lot of questions about that. We also, EducationUSA, share this contact information. Please, you will find a lot of information in our official Global Education USA website, educationusa.state.gov. And please follow us in social media as well to get more information about the different events that we are planning and organizing for you. Resources you can see as well. It was shared through the chat, our Education USA blog, bit.ly edusa _MX, where you will find a lot of information and a lot of online resources that we have been talking about the process of application. And you can also send your questions. We have limited time. Sorry that we were utilizing a little bit of more minutes of the final time, but you can send your questions regarding Education USA to mexico@educationusa.org. And any other question, we got some questions directly to Susan. I will just go back so you can take a screenshot of the contact information. If you have more questions to Susan, please send those to her. Thank you very much again. And I will go to the next one. If you want to take a screenshot, of course, as well, of our contact information. Send us questions, please, through email, and we will be very happy to respond to those. So, well, we appreciate to Susan again for your collaboration and your participation in this session, and we appreciate your time and attendance to everyone else. So don't miss any other events. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, and I will just leave this one a couple of minutes of upcoming events from Education USA. Thank you very much.
Thank you.